Today as regards defense starting for Nnamdi Kanu?
I don't want to have reservation over Jason Motosho yet. I don't want to look from the other angle of it. I don't want to know whether he is being placed there for a certain process that will lead to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu going to jail, because we know the source Jason Motosho came from. You know, we know the kind of judgment he passed in River State recently, or when before Fubara was suspended, you know, and there has been this link between him and Wike and the rest of them, you know. But that is not what we are looking at. We just want the viewers to look at those areas we just highlighted now and begin to dig deep, you know, what, you know, Jason Motosho is actually going to stand for in continuation, you know, of open trial or trial of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Like you can see in the video, you know, the IPOB leader, I can see him confident, fearless, bold, you know, ready to confront whatever it is in the court, you know, based on the body language of Jason Motosho, the presiding judge, you know. But I think for now, the hooded witness, whether it's a Hamas man, whether it's a Fulani man, whether it's a DSS man, or whether it's Malami, or whether it is whoever it is there that was hooded, you know, to testify against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, whatever it is. I think to an extent we are seeing that come and gone, and there was no concrete thing that he was able to establish, apart from telling the story that he was ordered to go to Festag, Golden Tole, where Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was, and pick whatever he want to pick and then arrest him. That was the target. You know, this happened over 10 years ago. But come to the reality, what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu actually stood for, you know, and he has not hidden it, you know, anywhere, any day. And the international organizations, you know, has it that mostly lawyers, you know, has it that they can never, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is not supposed to be facing trial in whatever form, no matter what it is, because his right as a human being has already been violated. You know, the criminality of the Nigerian government, that issue needs to be treated first. Nnamdi Kanu already, we heard that the Kenyan government are already warming up to pay whatever compensation they want to pay in that regard. But you can see what is playing out in Nigeria. Buhari kept Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, just the Fulanis kept him there just because he said, you people are infiltrating and killing. And there's no how, you know, the Igbo cannot look at the way, the manner the infiltration was coming, the target, the plan, what they intend to achieve with the killing, you know, the advancement, you know, the eastern Nigeria, the old eastern province, you know, we are Christians. They are Christians. They are not Muslims. No, what is the Fulani is looking at? What are they looking for? You know, they have enough forest there to graze. So it is no longer grazing, you know, and this one has gone beyond grazing. And unfortunately, I want justice. I wish that this video will get to James, you know, or Motosho himself, and let me ask him questions, because I realize he's from Southwest, probably Ondo State, you know, where he came from. Are people not dying? What is the essence of establishing Omoteku? What is it to do what? Omoteku, are they going to face the Fulani herdsmen with that gun? That's the question, you know. You understand? But all this whole paparazzi that is centered on Mazi Nnamdi Kanu baffles a lot of people and ridicule the judiciary, the judicial image, the judicial system in Nigeria. You know, has become a mockery. We saw that a Ghanaian chief judge flew into Nigeria in solidarity, you know, for what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has actually been going through. You know, we saw the Cameroon government do the same thing. We saw, you know, what outside Nigeria, for instance, you know, you're talking about people that even brought the issue of legal studies back here in Nigeria, you know, and making statements about what is actually happening and what the law says, what the international law said about rendition, kidnapping, you know, criminality committed by the Nigerian government, you know. So on that note now, so we are just looking at what everything Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, every evidence and video, you know, of what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said as at that time was centered on the same thing the DSS man currently saying that everybody should defend himself. In federal government, are they not saying that Danjuma, T.Y. Danjuma, is even due for arrest? Because the court, the university too, are they not saying they must defend themselves? What's the meaning of that? You understand? DSS boss are Jai too, making it very clearly that Nigeria have lost it. No, then if Nigeria is secured, why are over hundreds of thousands of army barracks are being, attacked and brought down by the same people? Look at the recent one that happened in Borno. Everything is being shut down, completely destroyed, and barracks. Then what happened to people? These are people who are supposed to be protective, but look at how the barracks are being run down. Then talk less of ordinary citizens. Who is going to protect them? So what Nigerian state want to hear is that at every point in time, the Igbos are being killed and nobody can stand up to challenge it. Is that what they want? So we fold their arms and be killed. Just like what they did. I thank God that we have not forgotten over 6 million Igbos that was murdered during the Nigeria Biafra war.
Before we get there, but we've heard the DSS boss publicly come out, even Danjuma himself, you mentioned his name not too long ago, he said, all these people, they've come out to say what Nnamdi Kanu have said previously, that Nigerians should defend themselves. But what they said and what Nnamdi Kanu said, I don't think there's any difference to what they said. And we want the terrorism going on in Nigeria, the constant killings of innocent farmers and Christians. Do you not think the Nigerian government should at least have this conscience that what Nnamdi Kanu said is the truth, and that's what is manifesting?
And it will be a shame. It will be a shame on the side of James Omotosho himself, to look at evidence and the national consciousness of Nigeria and happenings in Nigeria, what is going on in Nigeria, and look at it from that perspective. Nnamdi Kanu is worth celebrating, because he saw it then and was able to alert the entire world. But unfortunately, it's coming from the eastern part of the country. An Igbo man is not relevant. But today, it has become relevant. It is only the few of them that is Nasu Rock that are not celebrating Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. The entire world, the Africanism, the entire Africa, just like what is happening in Burkina Faso today, is celebrating him, because as at that time, people never believed what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was talking about, that it will ever happen, that we came to a point, everybody will be running haters scatter, including the police and the army. So you see the reason why they are saying, okay, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu statement is this and that, is that those who are calling for defense, everyone should defend themselves. What are they doing? Are they inciting, or are they trying to defend themselves? They can use any grammar, to whatever they feel at this point in time. Is that James Omotosho himself is a human being. These people were also people died too. What did Akan Delu do when they were killing people in Ondo State? Didn't you go about and see how he's going to defend his people at the end of the day? And that's what happened. So this kind of game, okay, yeah, it's stressing trial, but the trial is still seen, as victimization, as persecution, it's pure persecution. You understand? But you can see the man there is standing tall and is not saying anything. And of course, if Omotosho himself is very sensitive to the consciousness of the entire Nigeria, and of course, what the governors has been reporting about IPOB. IPOB has never been a violent organization. Recently, the governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, came out and make it very clearly that people that he witnessed and he saw from evidence surrounding him, that IPOB was not involved in the killing of anybody, including Ahmed Gulag. And you remember, there was a video that was made by the same Ahmed Gulag, pointing to one particular man in government that has threatened to kill him by all means. But unfortunately, they planted this thing in the eastern part of the country so that it will look like it was IPOB that actually disallowed Ahmed Gulag. That was not true. IPOB was not involved, and that has been confirmed by the governor of that state. So you see the infiltration that is going on. They're already in the forest. You can see videos of Fulani receiving so many support, whoever they are, but I can tell you the truth, that the system that bred them are still in the leadership position in Aso Rock.
Okay, and finally, we've seen the Biafrans, declare 20th, 29th, and 30th as sit at home, for the fallen heroes of the people that lost their life during the Biafra civil war. Do you think? But a lot of people have come and they say there's a division as regards. They said even the governors in the southeast have not declared. At least by now, they also be talking about it by declaring, this sit at home on that day. But what's the take as regards them declaring 29 and 30th? But Nigeria government have also come out and said that that there will not be sit at home. What's the take as regards?
Of course, what do they expect the Nigerian government to react? That we should just sit down and be doing nothing on May 30 when a day where people gave their life in defense of the Igbo nation, in defense of Biafrans, both South and Southeast. We lost over 6 million Biafrans in that war. And it was a needless war if Gowon has respected himself. And it was a necessity that defined the Igbo agenda. It was a necessity that gave Igbo man an identity. It was a necessity that uncovered the mystery of the ingenuity of the Igbo people. The first black race to discover and build and manufacture, the first black race in the continent of Africa to build a nuclear bomb without a white man's input. So many ingenuity is credited to the Igbos during the war. But that has become what it is. Will I say that Gowon's incompetence gave birth to the identity of the Igbos? Yes, we lost that war, if actually we lost that war. But I can tell you, from the horse's mouth, it was a ceasefire. And that ceasefire was allowed for a kind of reconciliation. But unfortunately, it never happened. So, assuming it is a situation of ceasefire, it never happened. Well, the psychological war is still going on between Nigeria and, of course, Biafrans. And that is why we have come to the point that, instead of becoming a slave, it's better we become a slave in our own land. And that is what we are talking about. That the world should understand and show solidarity according to United Nations. We have gone to war, that's what the United States, and we have gone to war, and they have seen it, we fought, and even though Nigeria was being power supported by almost all the world powers, Biafra stood against the world for years, and they still survived. Today, Biafrans are all over the world, adding value to the global community, being the foundation of most technology we are experiencing today. Biafrans are behind it, the Igbo people. So, and I think any Biafra, any Igbo man, anywhere they are, all over the world, they should raise their head up for the late warlord, Chukwuemeka Odumegwu for that insight and that courage. He was a courageous man, and it was a signal that was sent to the world that Biafra remain African world superpower in just time to come. We celebrate them, 3 years, 4 years of war without arms. The Biafrans went to the war without having a single arms, to defend themselves. They went there with their bare hands, and you saw what the world recorded between Nigeria and Biafra war. So nobody can take that 30th away, and let the governors do whatever they like, whatever they, the people, have taken it upon themselves that this is what we are and that is what we represent. All over the world, even in Israel, even in Russia, even in America, they map out a day for their fallen heroes. And we, as a nation, as a sovereignty that are seeking solidarity from the global world, from the world powers, are still saying that at this point in time, that come whatever it is, whether they like it or not, there should be at least a day set aside. If not, the war, if not the defense of those people. I don't think by this time we'll be having any Igbo man, that will be talking about tomorrow, talking about business, talking about politics, including the governors. But those people sacrificed and sent a certain signal that the generation that are coming are going to ask questions. And we are asking questions. No to the oppression anymore. Biafra must stand.